Beste mensen, niemand minder dan de grote Duitse choreografe Sasha Waltz komt naar Festival Schietmacher met een prachtig muzikaal dansproject begeleid door Viel Zuid. Sasha Waltz is in Nederland opgeleid bij de School voor Nieuwe Dansontwikkeling en richtte in 1993 samen met Jochen Sandig het Duitse gezelschap Sasha Waltz en Guests op. Inmiddels is ze mondiaal verwaard vanwege haar samenwerkingen met beeldende kunst, met opera en met live muziek, zoals dit keer dus bij In C, een project op basis van de beroemde compositie van Terry Riley in 1964 gemaakt als geboorte van de minimal music. In C is eigenlijk de belichaming, zou je kunnen zeggen, van een democratisch proces. In die zin past het ook heel goed bij het thema van deze editie van Schietmacher. Fysicaliteit, embodiment, de belichaming van energie, van keuzes, van dit keer een democratisch proces. Want het gaat er eigenlijk over hoe kunnen we onze vrijheid vieren zonder schade aan te richten aan anderen, aan de samenleving. Hoe kunnen we deel uitmaken van een groep en toch individueel blijven? We vroegen Sasha Waltz naar de totstandkoming van In C en de achtergrond van dit hele speciale project vol keuzevrijheid voor dansers en muzici, live begeleid door Viel Zuid.
The idea occurred to me during the pandemic. It was in the deepest lockdown, and I was looking for something to create with the dancers. We listened to the music of Terry Riley in C. And this was, let's say, the absolute inspirational moment. And this music is so incredibly uplifting and in that time absolutely revolutionary also. It's written in 1964 and it contains 53 figures. The score is very unique. I would like to show it to you actually, because I think there's rarely a shorter score for a work like this. It's just 2 pages. And you can see that there are numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 until 53. And these are the musical phrases. And what makes this is for the moment just like that. It's with every music like this. But what Terry Riley wrote was that you have a kind of a directing sheet how to use these 53 figures. And that means that the musician is free to interpret the music chronologically, but then repeat as long as they wish the upcoming figures. And each musician individually decides when to shift, when to move on. So there are these polyrhythms that occur and this layering of sounds, because each individual musician that is participating has its own command, its own decision. And for me, when I read the score, not only that I loved the music and what I heard, but I was thrilled by this idea of decision-making, of the freedom of the individual, and though always being connected in the whole by listening, so in that way in the music, but we have also physical listening, by reading the others in space, what is needed in space, where are the others. So basically I took this idea and translated it into movement.
And a little bit about that music score, because Terry Riley wrote it in 1964, and it's more or less the birth of minimal music. It was 1 year after your birth, because you was born in 1963. But why it's called In C?
Yeah, it's simply that's the pitch in C, so C major. So and that gave the name to the whole piece.
So
And
there's not a musician who is playing all the time the C.
no, there is it's an option that the percussion gives the beat. So that you hold on, because it's very complicated to stay in the rhythmic field together. So it's very good. It's like the heartbeat. So the heartbeat kind of keeps everybody together. And so I think in terms of the music, this is pretty much what there is to explain. And then it's up to the musicians what they're creating. And we have been performing with so many different orchestras now, and it sounds every time completely different, but still it's the same piece.
So now it will be performed with Viel Zuid, so that will be also a premiere. So you created also 53 dance movements.
Yeah, I call it figures because it's not only one movement, but it's a phrase of movement, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer. And these movement figures will be treated exactly like the musical figures. And it's a little bit more complex, I would say, in dance, because you have to create the space. Because the musicians, they're standing on one or sitting on one position. But in dance, we are moving space, and so they are creating the space. So they're really composing in the moment what is happening in space. And that is quite a real challenge. And so what I started to do is not only create these movement figures, which you can say, yeah, this is still something what you would do in dance, you make movements. But then I created kind of a rule, a system of rules that the dancers are applying during this time that they are performing. Well, there's like geometric ideas. So, for example, creating a line, creating diagonals, stretching the space when they're in a certain formation, opening or shrinking, getting closer together, creating a circle, making the movement backwards, finding the people that have the same color because they have all colorful costumes. So going to the same color field together. So mirroring, pausing, star formation. So there's 53 rules that they can apply, but they don't have to apply. It's an option when it's needed.
So they have a lot of freedom to make choices. But is the freedom also limited?
I would say the freedom always goes as far as you are giving something for the whole. So giving something for the group and for what is needed in the moment. This is, let's say, the general focus, which is very much related to how we live in society, I would say. Our individual freedom should be as big as possible without harming society. Yeah. So giving something to society. So this is, let's say, the first rule. But there is a rule that, for example, after 4 figures, if you are staying on, let's say, number 1, once everybody has shifted to the 5th, you should really start to shift further. So it cannot happen that someone stays for the whole piece in the first figure, for example. Yeah. So there is a general move forward. There's a drive forward, so that also the rhythmical figures, they have a correlation, and that gives, let's say, the flow of the whole piece. It is not a piece for solo stars or absolute egotistic performance. that want only to be shining. It's very much an ensemble work.
And she is embodying democracy?
For me, it is kind of a playful written piece to practice democracy, yeah? To listen to the group, what is the need of the group, where are we moving, what is the tempo also, yeah? So, and is everybody with you? Are you really taking care that everybody is there? Are you leaving someone behind, you know? I think there are many ideas that we kind of lose also in democracy because we're getting harsher and harsher with each other.
You shared that 53 dance figures with everyone. So everyone can dance these figures or try to dance. If you are 15 years old or 73, if you are an amateur or a professional.
I started to think that it's so valuable that people dance, that people move. And it brings a lot of joy. It brings a lot of liveliness, and you connect in communities and you come out of loneliness. So and it's a true connection. It's a deep connection. It's not a digital connection. It's a physical connection. Yeah. And we started to teach it to children. And it was incredible, beautiful how the children worked with it. And for me, it was very curious how different they were using the space, for example, that they are much closer together than, for example, the professional dancers that want to do the movement really big, while with the youth, the bonding, the relationship got very tight. Every piece needs a costume. And how do you find something that is minimal and somehow talks the same spirit like the piece? And so I came up with the idea to have different colors that are very slightly changing from, let's say, from red to orange to yellow, you know, so slightly like in a rainbow. And so this is a very basic costume. There are unisex costume, all trousers, long trousers, short trousers and a top. And these colors are resonating with the background. The background is a big wall that is translucent and goes through more or less 53 or sometimes more or less colors that you barely feel the change. But so the whole space is always lit in these different color fields. And then you have this resonating of the dancers in these costumes. Our company has now danced it for 5 years. So they are really very experienced how to create these connections, because there are so many ways of variation with the figures that it's incredible how it's like a door to fantasy. You can vary it in I don't know, thousands of different ways, these movements, and they, through the practice, have a great knowledge to use the space and to be connected with each other. That for me, sometimes I have the feeling it's like telepathy, you know? It's always special also if my dancers perform it wherever they are invited. So I'm very grateful that we can come and perform in Helen.
So I danced it in Mexico, in New York, in Berlin, and in Ukraine. So now they're coming to Heerlen. We're looking forward to the performance on the 5th of March to practice in dance democracy. I'm looking forward. Thanks, Sasha, for your introduction.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.